Part 2 ending of Finding the Drill, Part 1 down below. She was all teary the first day of me removing myself from her equation. Last night we have gotten to anger. Any conversation with her is either short and cursory, or she makes faces and is condescending when we talk. I can also tell that she is not sleeping at all. I caught her once standing at my door in the middle of the night. What the hell is she doing? Has she gone completely nuts at this point? Things just got way weird. So, I have been on a strong 180. Things have been tense, but I was settling in my stride with removing myself from the WW. Long story short, my wife approaches me and we start to talk about her individual therapy session she has just had. She goes into some detail about what she talked about, and she finally started to mention some of things that I lacked that made her cheat on me. I kind of redirected forcefully and let her know that nothing that I did or didn't do deserved her cheating on me with multiple guys and the constant lying she was doing. I told her that I am on the plank ready to jump off the marriage, and nothing she said I would believe. Only actions will tell the truth. So, a very tearful and emotional WW begins to tell me that she has a severely messed up past that I am not privy to. So, I start to put two and two together and tell her some things that I have strongly suspected over the course of our relationship. So, my WW breaks down and tells me she was being abused from about 5 till her early teens by an older close family member. I have dated abuse survivors in the past. They flocked to me, and she had the same MO as the other girls. The lack of intimacy, the mechanical bonding, the lack of bonding for long periods. She really does follow the symptoms to a T. The realist in me though kicked in, and I thought, is she being manipulative enough with me to make up this story to get on my good graces? However, the facts seem to add up that this horrible thing has happened to her in the past that is affecting our future. So, guys, I'm in a really tough spot here. I have a WW who has just shared something that only her and the abuser have known up until now. She has yet to share this with her therapist and won't do so for quite some time. The gentleman who did this to her is now deceased, but in hindsight, that is the same time that our marriage really hit the skids and she began the latest of her EATA. So now I have a weeping WW who obviously needs the emotional support of a husband. I have so built a wall around myself to protect me from her actions. I have no clue what to do around her, or how to be there for her. I don't even know if I want to share this new issue with my therapist. Does anyone out there have a similar experience or a gem of knowledge to help me either try to reconnect or dump my very exposed WW? Also, now that I know that she is even beyond damaged goods of my worst nightmares, if I end up in R, will this past just keep popping up as EAPAs in the future? Most of my relationships ended in the other person cheating. I have a habit of finding people who are down on themselves and I end up building them back up. Then eventually they don't need me anymore and they find something else. I know I hear it from anyone, but I could be put in a room with 100 girls and I will strike up a conversation with the one who has the most screwed up past or need for a self-esteem boost. A therapist could spend years trying to pick that apart about me. I have been told I have a savior complex, but still even a blind squirrel gets a nut once in a while. I guess a normal woman is out there for me, but they seem so very far away at this point. So, this turns out to be a hiccup in the 180. I feel sorry for her, and so I get talked into going over the in-laws for Thanksgiving. Sat there and ate turkey, and bam, like a lightning bolt out of the blue, her mother and father lay into her like a fox on a hen. How dare you disrespect us by treating your husband this way? What kind of child did I raise to go and do this? Had my wife in tears and we had to leave the house. On the way home she just sat there sobbing and rocking like a child. Now I'm really feeling sorry for her. I get home and try to console her, but she starts to yell at me. How could I do this to her? How could you tell my parents about this? I remove myself from the fray and hide in my small corner of the house. I take the computer and go to do some surfing. She left the email up on the computer. There right in front of me is a recounting of what just happened to the OM. And at the end, I miss you so much more than ever. I need an extra big hug when I see you at work. So, with that, any remorse I thought she had, any pity I had for her vanished in an instant. So hard 180 again, and divorce attorneys are still on. Goddamned manipulators. I haven't exposed to HR under advisement from my attorney. If she is unemployed at the time of discovery in the divorce, it will be harder to get alimony. If she is unemployed due to my actions, he is afraid of a countersuit due to my accessing her email even though it's a shared computer she left logged in. He said she'll lose in trial due to prior case outcomes, but it will cost me a fortune in legal bills and gum up the divorce. I am currently living in my guest bedroom, have all my clothes in dog, go to the gym daily, keeping busy, not sleeping well or eating much, but it will get better with time. I figure I'll be free of this part of my life by summer, depending on the courts. Last live and learn. Also, never marry a manipulative physician. I really am done with this marriage. If he wants the deceitful wench, she's all his. It really isn't worth the yelling and carrying on if I email him again. Besides, I have an email in the can to send to the OM's mother, father, and sibling pretty much saying if further contact occurs with my wife, I was going to contact HR, decided against it since it seemed so crazy and desperate. I don't know if it really is worth it in the end. What's everyone's thoughts on this? I am in the process of looking for a new therapist. I know that I allow myself to be walked all over, but I think this has shown me that I need to change what I define as a relationship and my part in it. Thanks for everyone having my back. The lawyer thinks I have a good case for rehabilitative alimony for about the length of true support, about 6 years. He says that with a cap on the length of support, it is more likely to be accepted by my WW legal team and the judge. As for hard assets, he says that I will be entitled to 50% of the house, furniture, etc. My business was incorporated years prior to this, so she will only be entitled to any gains made during the 2 years of the marriage. So, if she countersues, it will be very difficult for them to cut the amount of the alimony by offset. I am becoming well versed on all things divorce. I have seen Fortune 500 companies go through Chapter 11 with less legalized than I am seeing here. I think I missed my calling. I should have been a divorce lawyer. Forgot to tell everyone, I just found out that my wife has been going into my email account to see how much I know about what she is doing. Funny part is that the email address she was looking at isn't the one I am using with my lawyer and the people I have been going to with help. Funny how she gives me hell for wanting full disclosure, and how I'm a vile human being for going into her email that she left open on our shared computer. I guess she missed the day in class where they defined hypocrisy. From what I can tell, most of her intimate meetings with him have been in her car or at their place at work. The only way she could be paying for a hotel would have to be cash, and to be honest, there is no way I could ever track that. She always keeps a few on her just in case. As for the info, I have a binder at this point of her driveling back and forth with her lover boys. Definitely, no way in hell is this going uncontested. And filing for divorce on grounds of extramarital affair. So, her and the most recent lover will get served at work. All well. Also, I'm using retirement money to pay the lawyer to keep her from finding out and going thermonuclear until she gets the paper in hand. Then the accounts and assets will be frozen and she won't be able to hide her cash. I leave nothing to chance with this manipulative wench. I have been so wrong about everything else with her. I didn't want to end up behind the 8 ball with this. I was trying to go under the radar and get my money back at the end of the divorce, but pushing her face in her own mess works as well. I suck at picking women and a wife. I suck at picking an attorney. Maybe I have been going about this all wrong. Went on the suggestions of other lawyers on who they would use if they were getting divorced. This guy's name came up every time. Maybe he's something that I'm not seeing other than an insanely expensive retainer. Lawyer tells me to wait till after first of the year. His caseload is tight, and I guess I will still need to file jointly this year, so might as well take it out till 2013. Also, my HR at my place is being a pain on taking the loan out of my retirement. So, who knows when I will get the money. So, I guess she has a temporary reprieve, but the gallows are in the process of going up. Just waiting on the executioner. I'm being told that in my county, if she decides to fight it to the fullest extent, the earliest I can expect a trial date is the middle of 2014. If she throws in the towel and tries to play nice, he said that I may be able to have the marriage dissolved by the end of the summer. So, I'm kind of stuck in this half-life of married, but not for at least until fall of next year. I have already begun to look for places to store my stuff when we sell the place, and I have to start to look for places that allow dogs over 70 pounds. Pretty rare in my area. That isn't over $18 a month in rent. Kind of sucks starting my life over again. I know it's for the best, but this was unimaginable to me 6 months ago, and now I'm living through the worst of nightmares. If anyone out there has gone through this, what is left after all the planning and the technical aspects of the divorce is through? What seems to be keeping me going is the light at the end of the tunnel that is the divorce. When I don't have that anymore, is it going to hit me like a ton of bricks? I have been going to the gym religiously and trying my best to keep on the top of my game at work. Will that keep me fulfilled after the end of the storm? Just spoke with the WW. Saw her therapist today. She tried telling me that it is okay for her to keep talking and seeing the OM because he allows her to have a friend in a time of need. What in the hell kind of a therapist would condone that sort of relationship when they know that it is the reason the marriage is dissolving? Is there ever a reason, psychological speaking, for a cheating spouse to maintain communication with the other party? So, I tell my wife I would like to talk with her therapist. The one who said it's okay for her to keep on with the OM. She denies she ever said that, and she's tired of me hearing what I want to. This is like the 30th time where she has said something and reneged on it as soon as I mention it. She's playing with my memory and mind. I know what I heard and she keeps doing this. I am half tempted to record all of our conversations. She also tells me that he already told her there is no point in me talking to him since it's only I see. My previous therapist always wanted to talk with her. Also, today I go into her purse to get keys to move her car. Nothing clandestine. Guess what I find? A carved heart and a love note from him to her. Immediately it's, "Why were you in my purse? You know about what happened with us, why is this bothering you so much?" She also tried to play that it's from months ago and she just so happened to forget it was in there. I know I'm moving towards D, but why is this still bothering me so much? About the OM's gift, took a picture to keep with the growing volume for divorce proceedings. I spoke with the lawyer this morning and he said that it can't hurt to have this volume at the first meetings after the new year with her legal team. Yes, that's right, team. He's going to push aggressively for alimony of a set term. As for the gaslighting thing, lawyer said that it isn't a bad idea as long as it is on my person and a person involved in the conversation. Otherwise, risk wiretapping laws. God, I love my life right now. 2 months later, update. It's been 2 months since I told her family and friends about her affair. Last time I spoke with you guys I was getting a lawyer and happily moving on to the D. Well, my lawyer turned out to be not so great. $15 I will never see again. I am between representation. I have entered into long-term therapy. My WW has entered into therapy. Joint therapy has ended. The house was on the market behind my back, offer made, told my wife there was no way in hell I was following her if the house is sold, and wife pulls house off market. The wife is using the therapist as a segue to tell me something she knows is either untrue or something she wants but doesn't have the guts to ask for. This is the latest one. The therapist told her that she has never loved anyone, including me. My wife says that she doesn't love me and never has. That's always nice to hear from someone who you spent 14 years with and got married to. As such, she needs time alone and will be moving out of the house after the first of the year at the bequest of her therapist. She won't tell me where. I am not allowed to call, text, or email her by strict orders of her therapist so she can come to terms with the idea of being alone. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Wife has now gone underground with OM-1 and OM-2, but she is too stupid not to see all the trails she is leaving behind. So, I find out on a shared credit card that she has booked a holiday at a very swanky resort in the Caribbean, in the middle of her month of solitude, during her time to contemplate being alone. So what kind of moron thinks that they're attractive, wealthy, and single wife is going to paradise by themselves to read books their therapist told them to read? So, the question is, should I cancel the credit card? She is just an authorized user, and fight the charges once she gets on the plane. Would this be considered fraud if I did that, if anyone is in law circles here? Also, the card allows her all sorts of upgrades at the resort and other perks. So even if she pays in cash, the hilarity of it all is well worth the loss of the $175 I had paid for her to be a user of my credit account. Besides, when I re-lawyer up, the card is getting pulled anyway. What does everyone think? Therapist thinks my wife is sociopath and thinks I will have hell of a time in the divorce. She gave me the information just yesterday for real shark of a lawyer she has dealt with other clients for. Each was happy with the results of their divorce. Problem is, lawyer is $400 an hour type, so I have to go break the piggy bank to pay the lawyer. I have to wait till after the first of the year for tax reasons. So that is why I don't have a lawyer yet. I would love to have papers for her when she gets off the plane after having her love fest interrupted from the very beginning. It would be cool to serve OM-1 with papers if he is on the same flight as well. Welcome back to Earth. Few months later, a quick update, question. So, me and my manipulative STBX have been slowly marching towards divorce. Saw our respective lawyers and told to come back after we have a rough draft of the dissolution of assets in hand. My STBX that was at first gun-ho, after I shut off the ability for her boyfriend to call her cell to get a divorce, is now predictably slowing things down. She's back on the I don't know what I want anymore. What if you really were the one and I regret this for the rest of my life for something I can't even figure out that I want? Well, I have been pretty steadfast in my conviction, and despite a few minor slip-ups, going on vacation with her, I have been distancing myself pretty well mentally and emotionally. So, this leads me to my question. You see, I know that I am moving towards a mutual divorce. Now the wife is having second thoughts, and 2 months ago I would have been hoovered back into the relationship all over again. This time though, call it self-respect or just being so damn tired of it all. It rings like the boy who cried wolf to me. Also, I'm down 30 pounds, hitting the gym, and carrying myself a little differently because of this whole ordeal. In that process, I have begun to attract members of the other gender. I seem to have forgotten that I'm 6 feet, 35 years, and successful to a certain degree. So, before I would never take up an offer, or even notice it before my mental separation from my wife, now I'm tempted. A resident I met in my hospital has been hanging around me, and has asked me to go out for drinks, or a bite to eat a few times in the last month. At first, I thought it was a harmless let's sit down and talk about my research project stuff, but at the taunting of my staff I'm being told that I'm a moron and this girl isn't just looking to go over research designs. I really can never tell if a girl is hitting on me. I'm oblivious. So here is the question. Should I wait until the ink is dry on our divorce before seeing another woman? I know that my wife is still very much in the fog and seeing her co-worker incognito. However, I have a pretty steadfast level of integrity, and I know I would just end up hating myself if I let anything happen or led someone on without any intention of following through. So, what does everyone else think? When did everyone else wait to date after their WS put out the white flag? The second guessing comes from the fact that up until now my STBX has been balls to the wall, deny. Then it turned into, well, if you had the something then this would never have happened. She never had any remorse, a little social guilt, but that was it. So, I finally wised up and moved the divorce along. I cut off her communication with the while I was still paying for it. I no longer became her valet and housekeeper. 2 months later, now I'm hearing I may have made a mistake, always hedged with I just don't know. I want to make the right choice. That right there killed it for me. When it got boiled down to, well, it's either the man I have been with for 14 years, or some hot body nothing underling at work. I said screw her, picked up my balls from her purse, and have been tirelessly working towards what is starting to get to me is I am starting to see her in pain. Regardless of what she did to me, I hate to see someone suffering. That is where that pan of recompense comes from. She is no longer a building that needs to be stripped and dropped to the ground. It was the woman who I asked to marry me. Good news is that in all of this though, I have kept a stiff upper lip and tried to remain above the fray. As some other poster told me months ago, you will not be remembered for what happened to you, but what you did when you found out. So, we are beyond any chance of reconciliation. What I am afraid of doing though is being at her level. To go and do something in the end as bad as her. That is where the doubt is from. Not am I going to get back with her, but can I get back on that horse again gracefully and with the fullest knowledge that I did it with the utmost integrity. A few months later. So, it has been over a year since my STBXW had any physical contact. I have not had any emotional support in the last 2 years. So, on a request from my therapist, I started online dating. Well, it worked, a little too well. Now I have been meeting and talking to an incredible woman for the last couple of weeks, nothing physical. I have yet to broach the subject that I was A. Married, B. In the process of a divorce. I really like this girl, and at this point I can tell the difference between infatuation and something more. It's just the timing is so damn horrible. I get the feeling the STBXW is dragging her heels on the agreement because she knows something is afoot in the background with me. I haven't been this happy in over a year. So, the question is, how do you think I should drop this on the new girl? This is all too new for me, and I was just wondering if I tell her now, will she be miffed that I didn't tell her earlier, and walk? So much confusion. You guys have been there for me in the past. What do you think the honorable thing is to do? I plan on telling her at our next meeting. As bad as it would be to lose her so early, my feeling is then it wasn't meant to be at all. Everything happens for a reason. This is just another pebble in a stream of boulders. I laid it all on the line. Told her everything about the divorce and the papers being filed. She said she had a feeling all along. We both decided it's too soon in the divorce and separation to continue dating. She may look me up down the road. Live and learn. A month later. So, everything was going along great. I felt much better about myself. Started being a human being after being cheated on multiple times. The future only looked better without her and her manipulation out of my life. Well, it turns out that I guess she is like the creature you think is dead at the end of the movie who comes back for one more scream. So, I had everything set up for my move. She already had moved out. I get a call from my lawyer telling me that she received a cease and desist from my ex's lawyer on moving, telling me anything removed from the house will be considered stolen property. So, I ate the deposit on the truck and apologized to my friends and family. Still stuck at the partially empty house. I get a teary call from the ex telling me that we need to meet. I'd agree, and she is at the house before that night, agreed for following day. She looks haggard. She has lost 20 pounds. Dark circles under her eyes and looks like she aged 10 years. So, in conversation I discover that the has cut her to the curb. Her friends and family have all discovered the divorce and her infidelity. Her family are at odds with her. They all liked me, and her coworker will not even talk to her when they need to work with each other. He is looking for a new job. She is begging for me to take her back. She will go to joint therapy. She will take the house off the market. She will stop the divorce. She will bring rain to the desert and peace to the Middle East. Every point I told her 6 months ago are miraculously being spit back at me and agreed upon. Mind you, I have been paying for a $500 an hour lawyer for all this BS and signed on to a 1-year lease at the condo which has been sitting empty and I am paying for. So, I checked out officially months ago. However, it is tearing me apart that the woman I would have done anything for is saying everything I wanted to hear 6 months ago after tens of thousands of dollars and a pending house sale. Part of me wants to go back to her and have the life I had built up in my head for me living in the future, but I know that the only reason why she even offering these things is because her boy toy up and vanished like a fart. Has anyone else been through this? In the midst of the divorce, very close to the end, the other person having a complete change of heart and trying their best to keep you in the marriage. She has self-admittedly put my move on the hold to keep me from going. She keeps popping up at the house and has to sleep over in the only bed left in the house with me. She has tried kissing and holding me numerous times. She breaks down in uncontrollable tears at the drop of a hat. I came home to her the other night. She wasn't supposed to be there, sitting over pictures and all the cards I have given her over the years, just sobbing. She keeps trying to hug me, and it is tearing me apart inside to see her like this. I won't say she is suicidal, but I feel that if I put the full court press on her with the lawyer to be able to move, she may just do that. It is all about control with her. I guess it finally dawned on her she no longer controls me. Well, I guess she still can control me with the tears a little, but I'm not biting in the big picture. It's funny how predictable this all was going to play out, yet when you're in the middle of it with someone preying on all of your emotion and telling you everything you want to hear, it's not so easy to turn a blind eye on it. She also just threw out there a week vacation at an exclusive resort to try to finish the deal with me at the end of the month. When I said no, I could see the gears in her head not computing. So, the house is sold. The dogs divide up. Well, I have both, but she hasn't asked for hers as of yet. I live in the condo now. Have a great girlfriend. Lost a ton of weight and feel incredible. Things looking up in general in my life. It seems that as I told everyone the last time, all the OMs in her life have discovered what damaged goods she is and have all cut ties with her, to the point where her primary OM has changed jobs to get away from her. Well, now I'm in some dangerous territory. Like they say, idle hands do the devil's work. Well, she now is calling me a half dozen times a day, multiple texts and emails, finds any reason for me to have to talk to her. When I do talk to her, the business at hand gets taken care of quickly, but she then always goes into how lonely she is, how much her life is a mess, how it's unfair that her friends and family all have abandoned her. She then goes into longing stories of our past, and how she's sure we can work things out if we go to joint therapy. It then turns into a pity party, and I do my best to extricate myself quickly from that conversation. They are starting to border on fatalistic, almost suicidal talk. I tell her that boat has sailed and that it's not going to happen. I feel horrible doing this, but it's the only thing that shuts her up. Anyhow, this is the kicker. I finally get word from my lawyer regarding the long-awaited finalized divorce papers from my ex's law team. Well, lo and behold, they are now for a separation and not a divorce. The terms are the same as the original divorce requirements, but the language has been changed to legal separation instead of dissolution of marriage. My lawyer has already cost me a mint. Is she doing this to punish me, or does somewhere in her dark and twisted mind the thoughts of getting me back gleeful dance through her brain? I know I can petition the court and force a divorce, but I want to avoid an additional $20,000 in legal fees. Has anyone ever been with a spouse here that was an evil human being, who wanted nothing but your death and an end of the marriage? Then to have that person turn their entire attention on getting you back, and gumming up the works of the divorce to do so after the partners cut them loose. She decided to use a legal group and lawyer getting $650 an hour, real sharks. I had to counter with a shark of my own at $500 an hour. Every time my lawyer has to pick up a phone on my behalf, I get charged a minimum of 30 minutes. So yes, $10K gone. If this goes to trial, minimum of an additional $15K, closer to $20K. So yes, I am being bled. As for no contact, I ignore 95% of her calls and texts. Like I said, due to the enormous debt that will not be settled until the divorce, separation, I am at her mercy monetarily. So, I can't go 100% no contact without shooting myself in the foot in the process. She has the leverage because she makes 5x what I do and can for all intents and purposes drown me with her war chest. So, I have a load of debt and rent due. She has just rent and a ton of disposable income. God help her when tax season comes. I could also try the idea of requiring hardcore IC to work things out, but if I give her an inch, she will take 10 miles. Also, for better or worse, it is not fair to my lovely girlfriend who understands and knows the situation, but didn't sign on to dating a guy who is separated seeing his ex in therapy. I just want this to be over and move on with my life. In the worst case scenario, I declare bankruptcy, since I no longer have a house to lose, and throw what money I do have at the lawyer and get me the hell out of this. It just sucks that I will be paying for this for the next 7 years in my credit. Thank God no kids. Second, the house is in the process of being sold. Closing is very soon, but I won't see much of the proceeds after loans are paid off. Third, I will still have about $35,000 in debt at high interest that is supposed to be paid down by her alimony to me, yes to me, at the completion of the sale of the house as per requirements of agreement. So, in order to get that check each month to pay off my debt, I will have to put up with her crap. The only other option would be to default on my debt and see where the chips lay in the end. My therapist and lawyer both agree that she engineered the separation to keep a level of control on me. Good news is that if I keep it Spartan and don't F up, I will have enough money to pay off all bills in 8 months. After that, I can just write off the rest of the money I am entitled to. So, then it is left to am I willing to sell my soul to get some parting money to buy a house within the next 2 years? That is my dilemma. Half a year later. So, all the paperwork was filed for the divorce, and a few months ago I found out that her lawyer had filed for a separation and not a divorce. I was told though the separations become a divorce, it's just a matter of a couple pieces of paper. Well, unfortunately, denial isn't just a river in Egypt, and I was screwed again. Her lawyer keeps attempting changes and purposely delaying the divorce for no other reason than it makes my ex happy. So here I am a year later and still tied to this lying piece of trash. The only time we talk now is fighting over why the divorce is taking so long. I want to move on with my life, and I swear at this point she is deriving some sort of perverse pleasure in having me still tied to her legally. I haven't seen her in months, and I avoid her calls and texts. At this point, my lawyer thinks that only way to bring this to a close is to file a conventional divorce on the grounds of adultery. Unfortunately, it will cost me an additional $15,000 on top of the $10,000 I have in this divorce. Anyone been through this here? A narcissist who refuses to let go, even though they were the ones who wanted to end the marriage originally. P.S. Here's the kicker: last time I talked to the ex, she went on and on about how her boyfriend hates the cold and won't go skiing. She tells me she is flying me to the Rockies to go on a ski vacation in Feb. Talk about balls. Okay, enough venting. What does everyone think I can do here to avoid another tuition payment for my lawyer's kid? I have been keeping the conversations to the divorce, financial concerns. She misses a few payment days here and there, and the dogs have joint custody, which she has only had them 3 days in the last 8 months. The only reason I know the stuff I do is because she uses it as an excuse to why the money was late, and why she didn't respond to an important email for a week. I was away in Hawaii, Brazil, Caribbean. With the I'm not fishing, but she just has to get that little hook in me and twist when she does get my ear. I tried the whole let's only communicate via email and I didn't work. She would find important reasons to call. It's the narcissism coming out. The 180 is like holy water to a vampire with it. The harder I pull away, the more insane the reason for contacting me becomes. I just want my bloody divorce. Then I can be through with her. Almost 2 years later, I have gone zero communication for almost a year. I really don't care, and she made it easy. Then suddenly I receive a group text message spouting on about how she can't believe my communication with her cousin, that extremely hurtful things are being said to her parents. Newsflash: I haven't talked to a person in her family since right after the separation, divorce 3 years ago. I am unaware of anything warranting this nasty gram, and suddenly I'm pulled into the black hole that is my ex's soul. Long story short, in conversation with her cousin, which she began by involving me in the text, apparently my ex is getting married. From the pictures appears to be a WT drag on society with previous baby mamas, but everyone is entitled to be trailer trash if they so choose. My guess is he doesn't know the true account of why she tossed aside a 14-year relationship and marriage to screw a few coworkers, and she is afraid of him finding out. I guess someone must have said something at a family event that may have been outside of the pages of her revisionist history, and I somehow got thrown under the bus. Second part is she mentioned that it was a violation of the terms of our divorce agreement. As such, she wouldn't be required to fulfill the terms as such. She is very wealthy. I paid her way through med school. She pays alimony. Does anyone here think she is trying to start crap to get out of paying me the money, or is it just her trying to thumb her nose at me about her getting married? I'm super confused. Final update, 3 years later. So, in the last few years I dated a raging alcoholic, a manipulative younger girl who was a little bee when she didn't get her way, a host of severely distressed paramours, who didn't last long, whose mental stability fell apart on the lightest of inspection, and now the latest one making my ex-wife look like a walk in the park. Quick backstory: been seeing this girl, same age as me, 40, for a little over 2 years. Seemed like a nice enough girl, active in the church, had her own place, liked animals, attractive, wanted to have kids, no existing baby daddy issues, etc. Friends and family adored her, and she really did seem like someone to spend the rest of my life with. The perfect ending to the dating hell I was in. Then bam. 3 months and she had some misfortune. Water issues made her house uninhabitable, and I asked her to move in. Big mistake. During the course of her cohabitation, which now is 2 years, she decided to go back to school full-time with no source of income. She supposedly had savings, had a bad actor start to fix her house and walk away who was a friend, had another contractor fix her place, and allowed a friend to move in with his wife behind my back who pays no rent before even being done, who also has limited work prospects, had her dog diagnosed with cancer and a ton of vet bills, paid by me, and a ton of car issues. To add insult to injury, she is extremely confrontational and has either deliberately or inadvertently caused issues with all my friends and family who will no longer allow her in their homes. Severe strain with everyone when I go solo. She has severe depressive episodes where she locks herself in bed or the tub for days on end. Lied about ever wanting to have children. I may be too old now at this point, so moot point. Really had no savings to speak of, and she likes to hit. So, what it boils down to is I have a money leech living at my place without any source of income other than handouts from her father, who has a mortgage I have to cover most months, and no way to move out since her home is currently occupied by another leech. When she isn't holed up in bed or in the bath, she starts fights, and I'm deathly afraid of the police ever showing up and dragging me away even though she is the aggressor. So, folks, did I just step in crap again and just have horrible luck? Or did any of you find something remotely approaching normal post-divorce around 40? Because my track record doesn't make me think it exists. Another point is that I live in an area that most decent women have high 6-figure and 7-figure alternatives to a 40-year-old divorcee living in a tiny condo, paying off debts from his previous marriage, who is doing well, but not as well as the hedge fund players I see running around town on their 3rd or 4th failing marriage. I can't financially keep up. And to be honest, even if I could look right now with this albatross still living at my place, the ones that are out there are either under 30 looking for a sugar daddy, which I am not, or way over 40 and tired with life and not looking for a family. She unfortunately got help from some legal aid and says if I start the formal eviction process, she will dig in and drag it out in the courts at a cost to me. Also, she is playing dirty pool and said she will go to women's centers and have charges pressed against me despite the evidence to the contrary and have me removed. Side note, found out she did this to her ex in a previous relationship. She says she will leave as soon as she gets a job. So, to put it impolitely, my balls are in the vice and she has her hands on all the levers. I'm kind of screwed. As for red flags, yes, she had them too late. As for attracting crazies, well, I have been to the therapist and unfortunately, I feel the need to help everyone. I have been working on that, but unfortunately this time it really screwed me royal. I'm better now than even a few years ago, but like I said, this one got in like a ninja, played on my emotions, and now I'm stuck. I understand the need for the laws the way they are, and for groups to help the weak amongst us, especially women, but some know all the right words and know how to play the system like a fiddle. That is where the chips fell here. Half a year later, I finally found the diamond in the rough. I found her on Bumble. Yeah, I know, and we match each other in every way. First date, both of us admitted to having butterflies. Kissing her was like being in high school. We had a little distance between where we live, but we always will answer each other's texts, calls. We hang out where we can with our busy schedules, both high-level medicine. I really didn't think I could feel this way again about a woman after my divorce. 2 weeks after the whirlwind first date, she was in Europe on business. She must have texted or called 1,000 times in less than a week. Very much into the new relationship, and I commiserated. Likes, dislikes, our views, our backgrounds, everything lined up. She couldn't wait to be home and neither could I. So, she had already put a down payment on an apartment that ironically cuts an hour off our commutes to each other before we even met online. So, after her return from Europe, I helped her move into her nice new place. She had been living with family over 2 years since she divorced her controlling husband. Everything, and I know this sounds like rose-colored glasses, everything seemed perfect. So, after a few days after moving her in, she has become scarce. I just chalked it up to new place, getting settled in, still unpacking, etc. Last night was Friday, we should have both been available, but she said she just wanted to stay in alone and finish the remaining work. No problem. I went out with friends and didn't hear from her all night. While out with my friends, they wanted to see pictures of Ms. Wonderful, and I pulled up the dating app to show them. My stomach sank. She had changed all the pictures to ones she took whilst in Europe that she had sent to me via text, and her tagline had changed to "I just moved to X, I'm looking for my next adventure. Hope you can be in it." All the while she's going on and on about how great a match we are and how she wished I was with her. So, should I just run now? She's still sending good morning texts and devotional things throughout the day. It would be dream to go on vacation with you. Actually sent today. I'm getting the feeling I'm getting played here. It's been about a month, and yeah, I still haven't taken down my dating apps. We haven't had the exclusive talk yet, but it seemed like it didn't have to be said. I really want to know what everyone's take is on this. Internet dating sucks. My comment: dude, if I was dating a gal and she had that up on her profile, I would just use her words. Send her a text, call, whatever. Let her know you are looking for your next adventure. Then never talk to her again. It is harder to meet better women later down the road, but it takes some time. Hopefully OP will meet a better partner one day.